Hi, today we're going to talk about composition. I'm not talking about writing and I'm not talking about a piece of music, I'm talking about photographic composition. In fact, how we frame something, whether we want it vertical, horizontal, whether we're doing it like that or like that or like that. Oh, that looks good. So it's all about composition today, so I hope you enjoy it and I hope you learn a lot. My only thought is that through good composition, a photograph can become a piece of art, individual, emotive. And an image with bad composition can become a piece of art, individual and emotive. Confused? Well, so are most people. So we'll run through some images and I'll show you my thoughts on the subject. The first one I'm going to show you is this shot of some ducklings. It's a very nice image. Good colour, nicely exposed, but is it well composed? Well, for me not really. I find as the duck in the middle is looking to the right, my eye is directed to the right of the image, making me neglect the left hand side. Now because of that, I wouldn't bin the shot, but I'd look carefully at it and maybe do a recrop as a vertical like this. Now some people won't agree. But what's important is that I prefer it that way, so composition is a very personal thing. It does seem to break the so-called rules of composition, with all the weight on the right hand side and dropping down to the left. So why does it work well? Well, it's because something people rarely bear in mind, and that's the lighting. Yes, lighting is part of the composition. Shadows and highlights can change drastically a composition. So that's another thing that you must remember. Another shot where light plays an important role, shot at a friend's wedding. Well, I'd had a few drinks, so no rude remarks, please. The bright light on her dress saves the day, as after our eyes go to the couple, we're drawn back to the left by the bright light down the bride's dress to what is unfortunately a very uninteresting content. But I put it in to show how light can direct the eye. An image of a brandy glass that would, if it had not been for the light, would have been very badly composed. The image itself is up for a lot of critique, being soft focus, at an angle and with a crease on the background. Well, I said I didn't like rules. What about holiday snaps? Look at these two examples. The first one by my wife. Obviously too much sky and she's cut my feet off. She could have waited till I was smiling as well. The next shot by me is also badly composed. Now, if she was looking the other way, or if she was at the other end of the wagon, it would have been a better composed image. So anyone can make a mistake, and anyway I don't want to think when I'm on holiday. Another well-composed image, giving the wave rider plenty of space to move into. It's a nice pleasing image, but drawing back, isn't it a shame not to see the ties in the background? So there are a lot of compromises. It's impossible to talk about composition without mentioning the rule of thirds. It's the idea that every image has a number of focal points that will attract the eye of the viewer. While I agree with the idea, I don't believe that it should be considered a rule, as it would discourage any thinking and creativity beyond the so-called rule. I prefer to call it a guide. I'd better tell you about it, as you'll hear it referred to a lot while pursuing your hobby. Basically, imagine a photo split into 3 equal parts horizontally, and then the same vertically, leaving 9 rectangles. The photograph is then composed within these rectangles. Now a landscape like this one, the horizon would normally be better on the bottom third, on the line of the bottom third, or the line of the top third. Now, as I said, this is only a guide. With this landscape, where is the line of the horizon? It's sometimes very difficult to decide, so it's just a matter of doing what you prefer. Now let's have a look at a portrait. Now this is a nice little portrait. It's quite fun. The hands make a nice diagonal line with the eyes, and I think that's really nice. And you see how it fits nicely in with the rectangles. I think that's a nicely composed image. Here's a shot that will help me explain. It's two shots put together to make it easier. Notice that the boy is placed on the B and D vertical. His head is faced to the left. This leaves a nice lot of space for the flames and creates a balanced image. Now if we move him to the centre, without the end of his left arm, sorry about that, it's clear that the image would be better as a square crop, because the part on the right is of absolutely no interest. Then if we move him to the AC line, the whole image becomes out of balance, with nothing worth looking at on the right hand side. But supposing I now turn the background around the other way. Well, this helps a lot, mainly because his hand and eyes are pointing to the centre of the image. So there's a lot to think about with composition. This racing car shot has some super movement caused by a very wide angle lens. And the image is tilted to give a nice space for the car to move into. And that's what really makes it look nicely composed. Another thing that professional photographers have to think about when taking an image is that maybe there would be text added. Now, you have to think about that situation. Now let's have a look at one of my favourite shots. It's very badly composed as it is there. The trouble is I'd like to keep the shadow from the top of the image, but I don't like the guy in the middle of the picture. I'd much prefer him to have a lot higher, be a lot higher. So this is where a little bit of retouching comes in. It really sometimes is necessary to turn a super picture into a great picture. So what I've done in retouching is I've taken out the top window above him and I've dropped the whole of the top of the image back in place. This allows me to put him in the top third of the image. I suppose we're back to the third rule again. Oh dear. This rather splendid Tibetan to me is almost in the centre of the image, but I think it's a lovely composition. Here's another one that won't win any prizes with the judges. The girl's dead centre, but I really love it. This advertisement that I shot for Valve Air shows the problem with text. You must know exactly where it will be before you compose the final image. Well, what have we learnt in this lesson? Firstly, not to abide totally by the so-called rules. Composition can't be learnt from a book because there are too many factors involved, and there are no two subjects the same. Second, that lighting affects composition much more than people think. Ideally, compose the image in the camera, but always study a shot to see if there isn't another possibility. I've often seen 2 or 3 good shots come from one original. Always think about the eventual text in your shot, but mainly we've learnt, go with your heart. After all, it's your shot, so if you like it, leave it alone. Well, thanks for looking, and I hope you learnt a lot about composition. Funny enough, I think I did while we were watching it. Anyway, see you soon on mccaudle.com.